Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third and final Midst Roundtable. I'm Marisha, and tonight we are going to chat with the three creators and narrators of Midst in the flesh for the very first time. Now, spoiler warning for anyone not yet caught up on Midst, tonight's discussion will involve massive spoilers as we discuss the third and final season. If you have not listened to Midst yet, what are you waiting for? It's right there. It's an awesome, immersive, semi-improvised sci-fantasy podcast that takes you on a surreal and honestly reality-bending journey. And make sure to stick around for the end of this episode for a very big announcement about the future of Midst. Okay, shall we introduce our guests for the evening? Let's welcome back the creators of Midst, Sara Weil, Matt Rowan, and of course, Zen. And I am also joined by a brand new Midst listener, you guys, Liam O'Brien.
Ooh, how'd I get here?
You're here!
Man on the street, Liam O'Brien. I was just listening to Midst outside and I saw the door open. I'm honestly surprised that you're real people. I had assumed that you had just shed your mortal selves in the past and just existed as pure sound.
Us too.
Yeah.
This is very weird for all of us.
Very much more than just a disembodied voice on a teletheric.
Yeah, we've been transduced into something more at long last. The fold itself has manifested us into whatever this is.
Yeah.
The fold provides. Well, welcome third person. Why don't we have you each introduce yourselves again now that you are in the flesh so we can put a face to the voice. And also, since you're here, why don't you just go ahead and tell us what you do on Midst. Sara, let's start with you.
Thank you for clarifying who should start so we don't do the awkward
Like you go first
thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sara. I do some of the art on Midst.
So much of the art.
Yeah, no, I mean, not like, we're gonna get into the art later. Like,
Yes.
There's so much that you have seen if you follow the lightly animated versions on YouTube, but I do like the episode icons and the official character portraits and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And all of the original Midst art is all Sarah's as well.
Yeah. You're the
Just that stuff.
OG
You're the one.
artistic eye.
I suppose so.
And who's your character, Sara?
Oh, her name is Lark. That's the other thing I do. I voice Lark.
And so many others, of course. But
Yes.
that goes for all of you, of course.
True, but Lark is like the one that I have special privileges
Mm-hmm.
around.
Dominion over?
Special
Yes,
thank
yeah.
Over. Yeah. Matt, how about you?
Certainly. Thank you, Marisha. I am Matt, and I predominantly voice Phineas Thatch, our struggling cultist resident of the Midst podcast.
Sweet little naive boy.
Yeah.
a good boy.
And have gotten the delightful pleasure of getting to write a lot of the appendices for Midst.
You're missing out if you are not checking out those appendices.
There's
Lots
some
of fun lore.
delightful materials in there, and especially from season 3, which we'll be getting into as well.
Yeah.
But yes, that's me.
And
What about
Zen?
you over there?
What about me?
What about you?
Let's find out. I'm Zen. I play Mock Weep in Midst.
Yeah.
Heard of that guy.
Yeah. And mostly I just write our airtight contracts of business.
That's not true.
That's not true at all, no. I am the sound and music person of Midst and also the editor. I do all of our recording and editing and sound design and music.
It's like the audio part.
The
audio
part of
drama.
the audio drama
Yeah,
that's
it's like
audio is
Yeah.
mostly what I do. And some of the graphic design and appendix layouts and design I share with Sara. And typography stuff. So,
Typography.
a lot of things. And most gnarly voices.
Yeah.
Just like gravelly, shitty voices. Weird people who have throat problems.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
You're our go-to.
Yeah, I feel like you're like a sound and synth sorcerer.
Thank you.
Accurate.
Yes, lots
Yeah.
of guitar, lots of synthesis, lots of sound design, a lot of weird droning sounds, doomed surreal noises.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
It's fantastic. Now, I am very curious, how has your creative process kind of changed from seasons 1 to 2 and then season 3? Because when you all joined the Critical Role family, seasons 1 and 2 was already done. So
right.
season 3 is really the first new content that
You said
has
it.
been released to the world. So
That's right.
I'd say especially between seasons 1 and 2 and season 3.
Yeah, sort of grouping 1 and 2 together,
Yeah.
for sure.
Boy, it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
A lot has changed.
Yeah.
I mean, so much of Midst was just a big experimentation in storytelling, and starting out, it felt honestly like a lot of throwing paint at the wall and seeing what pictures formed. And the further we went along, the more we had a sense of obligation about wrapping it up in a way that felt satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it started out as just an incidental hobby side project that we did on our weekends and random nights. We all had the opportunity to get together maybe once a month and sort of work on this.
Yeah.
And I mean, the very first episode of Mids, that original pilot, was just some shit we did because it seemed fun. We scarcely thought of it at the time and had no notion whatsoever that it would take us to the places that it has. So, I mean, it's evolved from just a tiny little art project into this amazing, nebulous new thing that's expanded and grown in all kinds of new ways and taken us on a very interesting journey.
Yeah, that was a question I had, and again, sorry, I was just dumpster diving behind the building and the door was open. But when I listened to the show, and I'm almost done, but I'm not done with the whole thing.
We're gonna spoil you bad. I'm afraid.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna go back to the dumpster.
I'll cover his ears.
But you didn't, from the outset, know what your end point was. It sounds like. But was there like a point somewhere into season 1 where first it was just sort of like piddling around, and then it started to like gel and take shape, and you had started to have like rough ideas of where it was going to go ultimately?
Yeah, we always had a broad sketch in mind for where season 3 was going to end, but we learned very quickly through recording one season and then another that our ideas about what we thought should happen would change. So we tried to allow ourselves the space to change our ideas and the way that we did things as we went along. So, like, for example, season 1 and season 2 are mostly improvised. We would occasionally script little things here and there for really important moments, like opening and closing moments of the seasons that just like really had to stick.
Yeah.
And then when we got into season 3, we felt this increasing urge to land the plane successfully. So season 3 is relatively more scripted than seasons 1 and 2 because there was we
So
said
many
so
loose
many
ends.
things in seasons 1 and 2.
All the threads.
It's hard to keep track of 100 billion hypercritical character and plot details when you're just literally improvising everything, so
Can't relate.
certainly not.
It was interesting shifting into that because it wasn't how we got used to things starting out, but I think even our script writing process was kind of born out of the way that we learned to improvise together.
Sure.
And even when we wrote it, it was just kind of like sitting around in the same Google Doc, like, hey, like, what if we said this?
Often it was like finding the things that would sort of crack each other up, or like if someone started weeping while writing. It was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh, clearly
If anyone
that's
ever started crying,
why
we were
are you
like,
crying.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
going
stays.
down.
that's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to leave yourself that flexibility as a creator. I talk about this like a lot because as you go through things, these characters, they really like, they become an embodied person of their own in a way. And then so seeing how the world and everything affects them.
Or like looks through their eyes and
Yeah.
how they
Yeah.
react to and interact with the world that they're in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice to have the freedom to play and to improvise in that way. And by the same token, it's nice to, when we felt like we needed it, allow ourselves the time and the grace to kind of stew over a scene and think about it, because our characters have been through some shit at this point, and we just, it's a short show, you know, it's 3 seasons, the episodes aren't very long, so each episode has to carry a lot.
Every single moment has to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was thought that we wanted to make sure that we put into it to hopefully make it pay off in a satisfying way for everyone.
Do you often have moments when you get into editing, I guess especially for you, Zen, where you're like, in hindsight, we can tighten this up. This might not be.
We do adjust things sometimes. We have new ideas, or in the editing process, twists and turns in the story that were not apparent during initial recording reveal themselves.
Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night with a great idea for something we should have said at a particular moment and
Jump back on mic.
Yeah, or a lot of
Exactly,
times
yeah.
we're very, very particular about wanting to be incredibly clear about information. It's just so heavy on hyper-specific information being delivered in hyper-specific ways at hyper-specific times. It's like a clockwork machine. And anytime we realize, like, I don't know if the listener is going to put two and two together here, or we're not sure if that clue was clear enough. Sometimes we do go back in and we might re-record a line or finesse something because something might not have been entirely crystal clear in improv, and we want to make damn sure that people aren't misunderstanding something or that a character's motivations are not ambiguous when they should be clear. So yeah, we do re-record occasionally. Sometimes we'll have just bizarre, sudden ideas for things that weren't even in the original episode at all. And
or
weeks
something
later,
that seemed right when we initially recorded it, after being able to sit with it for a few weeks, would kind of start to seem like it needed additional fleshing out in some areas.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, we mix and match. I think Sara.
We do what we want.
We do what we want. I think it was Sara who coined the line at one point that improv is the tool, but not the product. We use improv throughout mids, but it is not our only tool. And scripting things as needed, and editing things as needed, and re-recording things as needed are all tools we do use throughout the show at all times in all seasons. So yeah, we use all those capabilities that are available to us.
Yeah.
Sounds like creators creating.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about your show is how the perspective crawls into and out of the characters' heads. So like you're right there in first person and then stepping out like second to second. It's really, I find it so unique, and it's what makes it stand out so much. Yeah.
And I guess
It's like you're in the brain and then you're a ghost floating next to the person and then right back in.
You know, third person omniscient is a very powerful voice. You just, you can go wherever you want.
Yeah, and to have the ability to be very meta-narrative with it too, to pull in details from the real world, or even to draw attention to the format itself. We know it's a podcast, and the narrators of Mids know it's a podcast, and you, the listener, know it's a podcast, so why not use the tools available to us, but also the tools available to you who are listening to the show?
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of my favorite kind of like one-liners when we talk creatively about Midst, is that it is a podcast that knows it's a podcast. I think that is such a very succinct, great descriptor amongst many when it comes to Midst.
Oh my God, the podcast is alive.
Become self-aware.
If I might round the question out just with one other comment about the sound and music of season 3.
That is part of it.
That's part of the podcast, the audio podcast. Season 1, I mean, I started doing all the sound and music for the show with a lot of sort of lingering ideas around how podcasts should be made. Like all of us consume media and we see things that we love and we think, that was incredible, I loved this thing, therefore I think that's cool and I want to do what that did because that's how you make cool stuff. So in season 1, I felt somewhat burdened by this idea that there were certain things that you had to do if you wanted to do it right or cool. As of season 2, I realized, who cares? I don't even like that stuff. I feel like I'm supposed to do that stuff, but what if I just didn't? And season 2 started to become more experimental with the format, with the sound, with the music. And season 3, just bananas. I don't even know. We don't care anymore. We do what we want. The sound and music has gone to a place that I personally find much more free and interesting. The music of season 3 is also improvised. Season 2, mostly improvised. Season 1, a little bit more premeditated and prefabricated. But the music and sound of season 3 is basically done live in post-production. I just listen to the dialogue and play some music, and we just do it live.
Some
we
exceptions
track it.
here and there, right?
It's a combination, but it's
Special
much more
moments.
free form. It's much more organic, And season 3 is a journey in sound and music that is, I think, just much more personal and much more instinctive than seasons 1 and 2. It's been really fun to work on season 3.
That's wild. And a question that I had was the moon mining song is like it. I mean, it was so
The real
amazing.
moon mining song.
Yes, and so like,
Thank you.
so you're saying that was all like just feels in the moment.
Well, as we mentioned, improv is the tool, not the product. Certain songs are not as improvised as others, including
Yeah.
our gigantic full cast song. That was
Yeah.
that's an example of something we generally wrote and prepared in advance and assembled
yeah.
over time. We did not have a massive town live improvising a moon mining song all in one take.
So much fun to work on, though. It was a blast.
Parts of it were improvised. There's a lot of like voices and townspeople in the background of the scene, all hooting and hollering and yelling stuff. That was all on the fly. We got together and just threw a party and yelled a lot and listened to the song over and over again and just tracked in a bunch of people screaming things and yelling rude comments. And, I mean,
Amazing.
Fun bonus features eventually.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
But overall, when it comes to like the accompaniment and
Yeah, the majority of the soundtrack is
just following
is
the
just
vibe.
recorded improvisationally on the fly. I set the scene, I put on some appropriate lighting, get in the mood, listen to the dialogue, and play and record tunes and sound.
That's incredible. And kind of going back to a little bit about you all mapping out the story, the breach and everything that happened with the trustee. Obviously, there was a ton of groundwork that was being laid in seasons 1 and 2. Was that something that you decided early on, or was that also kind of a later season 3 decision as you started fleshing out what the end of season 3 was going to be?
That's a really good question. I think there were, well, the Assembly of Midst is very much kind of this series of symbols, I guess. The characters, Lark, Phineas, and Weep, you know, what they mean, what the trust is, what the breach is about. Like, all of these different elements kind of have strata of meaning, and we kind of remix those symbols, we put them in different orders and see them in different sequences. And
We knew the trust had to have like a cool counterbalancing
Yeah.
force to go against it.
Yeah.
So when I think we were kind of starting to figure out what were some of the fun scenes that we want to have happen in season 3, what moments, you know, can we use to kind of explain the breach or see like the impacts of what the breach has to do. And
In season 1, the breach was more of a vague specter of an idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think we had all breach characters
No.
picked out at
No.
the time. They sort of suggested themselves to us.
They
Yeah.
revealed themselves to us in time, and sometimes as we looked back on previous seasons and we saw people in the background of scenes, we began to ask ourselves, they seem suspicious. What are they
Yeah, what are they
doing? What are
doing
they doing?
here?
Why do they keep cropping up like this? They might be up to
Even if we
something.
didn't know their name.
So sometimes they brought themselves to us. There are certain characters who were just there, and we realized, oh yeah, there's probably a reason why they're there doing what they're doing at the time they're doing it.
But like Hieronymus, we always knew was going to be part of the breach, but his exact involvement definitely
Still unknown.
got developed further as we got into the later seasons.
Well, I think that's also something that's like so great with Midst is you can kind of retroactively define things or add things. I mean, even like one that kind of comes to mind was, and I guess correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't find out until towards, you know, the midpoint of season 3, Weep selling his blood at the cabaret. And
It started to get hinted at in season 2 for people that were like really paying
Listening
attention
to it.
and making their red string conspiracy boards and
Yeah.
putting the pieces together. But yeah, we tried not to leave too many loose ends like that as we
Yeah.
started to wrap up season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. He shouldn't have been doing that.
What I like about improvising stories in general is you can get like halfway into your long tale, invent something on the fly on a random day that predates everything that came before. Meaning, like, you're altering the past, predating page 1, chapter 1 of your story, and I love that. It's always evolving.
And also, there's two ways to foreshadow things. You can either plan ahead and foreshadow them, or you can think about intriguing loose ends that might have been improvised and think of ways to like deliver
Link
on
back
them
to them.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a lot of both. There were plenty of things that we weren't intending to set up as foreshadowing, but when we look back at prior seasons, we detected just interesting moments and asked ourselves often, why did that happen and what does that mean? And found ways to carry those moments forward in the future and give them significance retroactively. So it's all friggin' recursive.
Yeah.
It's just...
We don't always know what we're doing when we say things at the moment. We say things.
It's causal, it's retro-causal,
Yes.
it's a weird
Time is a
wormhole
weird
of...
soup.
Random becomes purposeful, and you get to go, I'm so fucking smart.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
We were geniuses the whole time.
Hopefully other people will
Good
say
thing
that.
we did that the way that we totally made that up the way
Correct,
it was without even knowing what we were doing at that time. Good job, us.
They mapped out the whole thing.
I mean, I'd be lying if there wasn't moments in Critical Role, and I know Liam can speak to this too, where the audience will be like, oh my god, this was totally like commentary and foreshadowing on this thing, and it was all connected, and you're like,
Yep.
like, yes, it is. Good
And
job.
the thing
We
is
did
that
it.
is that it does. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you knew it at the time or not. It's interesting how...
Absolutely.
It doesn't invalidate its power in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are so often just totally stunned by what the story is because we didn't even mean it to be like that, but it serves itself to us. It's like, surprise, here I
Yeah.
am. We're this way. Here we go.
You know, I think that like serves that to me that speaks to a strong creative vision and kind of integrity from the get-go. That like even things that might be, you know, unintentional or accidental or retrocausal, which I'm going to adopt that for forever.
That's my line.
You know, like you said, like it still doesn't change its impact on the story. So I think that's like,
No.
yeah.
They're all valid tools.
It's all part of it. It's all interconnected.
What was those final moments like when you're like finished recording and you knew it was the last episode and you finally stepped away from it and you were like, that's it, we're done. We were walking away from the mic.
Well, funny you should ask, Marisha.
Taking the
Oh, good. I'll make this dramatic.
Yes.
I'll make it dramatic. Well, incidentally, it was dramatic, and we didn't step away from the mic. The season 3 blooper reel for Midst. We've been releasing blooper reels for the previous seasons. Outtakes, things that went wrong, weird stuff that happened. Mock Weep
that
losing
went
his
too
voice.
right.
Things that went too right, and they were so good we couldn't even include them because people couldn't handle it. We did something with the season 3 blooper reel where we've got, a variety of fun outtakes, but you can hear what happened at the end of Midst. At the end of the
just kept
blooper
rolling
reel.
for a
We
little
just kept rolling for about 10 minutes.
It was a while ago now, and it's so strange because in the olden days for seasons 1 and 2, there was just a much smaller gap between creating the episodes and releasing the episodes. Sometimes a gap of hours.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah, and now that we're so professional, everything, of course, must be done in a more ahead of time
advanced
sort of manner.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does mean that significance for us of wrapping up a project that we started years ago is something that the fans, the listeners, won't experience. Well, wait, you have experienced it now,
Yeah. Yes.
but experienced it later.
Yes.
Yeah, it was.
It was a meaningful moment. You can hear the moment in the season 3 blooper reel. It's not a blooper, and I don't even know that it's very funny. It was a powerful moment.
Yeah.
It was special. And we recorded it, so you can join us for that and see how it went.
Suffice it to say, we were in a very different place working with CR, completing season 3, compared to the very first moment that we sat down and recorded episode 1 of season 1 for the first time. Like, just night and day difference. Completely different now, like, life circumstance, different perspective on the story that we were kind of setting out to tell, but having learned and grown along with it in our own ways, it was a very it was a powerful moment.
Just impossible not to reflect on where we were and what was going on when we recorded the first episode versus the last episode. Yeah.
So
little
join
different.
us in the blooper reel. You will you can experience it along with us.
Well, I want to do a quick toast to that. Cheers to the legacy you all created and growing along the story.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Marisha.
Of
Sarah
course.
and Matt.
Cheers.
Cheers to you too. Yeah.
Get in here, Matt. Get over here.
What are we drinking? What are we drinking tonight? What is
Sarah,
this?
tell us what we're drinking. We always have to have our midst-themed cocktails when we do these.
Well, the name I suggested for this one was the Eclosion Therapy.
Yes.
Named after the therapy that Phineas undergoes when he visits the Lazaretto.
I think traditionally we've always released the recipes so that you at home can join with us. This one, it's like it's a little Moscow Mule with a twist.
Yeah, with
That's nice.
blue in it.
Well, with blue.
That's the twist.
It's tasty. Much like Phineas, I've imbibed this and I'm now tripping.
Yeah.
There are rainbows everywhere.
Hopefully you come to a greater and potent understanding of yourself.
This will reveal new avenues within my very being that previously were unfamiliar to me.
Don't look at the paintings.
Well, there is still a ton to unpack and discuss, but before we jump into our next round of questions, I do want to bring back our fun little emoji game that we did last time.
I didn't even dare to dream.
It's back, baby!
Perhaps I will win again.
How does this work?
Okay, basically we have a series of emojis.
Okay.
They have to guess which episode it represents.
I'll lean forward so I can't see your prompts.
Yes.
Slide in with
We have one for each of you.
Okay, so it's less of a competition
It's a less
and more
of a competition
test.
this time.
Let's see if I still suck at this game.
I believe this one
Last time I sort of
we
lost.
didn't write down who it is. So I'm gonna wing this. Matt, this one is for you.
Alrighty. Well, I'm gonna have to say that this is season 3, episode 2, Breakfast.
That is correct.
Bread.
Coffee.
bread.
Yeah. This was just a great moment. The oven that just because of the terror kept creating bread.
Yeah.
Trisha's Cafe.
And we have the art for this to look at, I think.
We
A
do.
fantastic crowd scene by Ricardo Bessa, who also did our very first piece of art for season 1, episode 1 of Midst.
Yes, I mean just incredible art
Spectacular.
by Ricardo.
Look at that. Look at this town. Look at this community.
Can I pet that dog?
Can I pet that dog?
He's a good boy.
It's landlord, isn't it? It is.
Oh, it is landlord.
He's a good lord. He's very. Look at that bandana.
I'm glad that landlord lived, by the way. Landlord has to live.
Well, we're unreliable narrators, not monsters.
We have a no dog killing clause.
Yeah, I appreciate this.
They kill a lot of other things, but no dogs.
Yeah.
This one is for you, Sarah.
All right. A shopping bag, a black cube, a buck, perhaps, a rock star, and a disco ball. Oh, it is the color black because this has got to represent bedrock.
This is, in fact, episode 10, Bedrock.
Starts out in a thrift store. They have to buy black clothes to get into the secret underground rebel club where they
Which-
play PDM music.
I'm so glad that they picked this artwork because I want to go to there.
I
We'll make
love
arrangements.
this art. It was such a
We're all gonna
fun
go
break
disco.
from. We usually have such color palettes that arise again and again as we're visiting the same locations, and this was
Yeah.
such a breath of fresh air. It's not every episode that we get to bust out the neon.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
and please, if I may, take us on a momentary detour from the visuals and turn us to the music. Sarah, may I?
Sure.
May I reveal
Yeah.
the initial song that we hear when our champions enter the Bedrock Club and turbo music begins is Sarah's doing. Sarah is the composer of the techno music.
Kind of. I mean, I can't. I lack the ability to like manifest any music, but I can sort of like hum aggressively at people who can make music. And the thing about Zen's musical talents, formidable though they are, is that all your music is so like artsy.
Dang, man.
And for this, I just wanted like sandstorm.
True, though. I don't know.
Yeah. You mean it?
Yeah. I was like, no, this is too sophisticated. Give me the aux.
yeah.
Like,
The other background tunes that you hear throughout the club, like when they go back into the champagne rooms and stuff, that's my
you can hear the artsiness kick in
freaking
at that point. Yeah.
But no, Sara composed that initial techno PDM Priathic dance music song. I assisted in programming it and putting it together, but the original composition is Sarah's work. It's Sarah's contribution on the soundtrack.
Heck yes, and
Love
that
the idea of humming aggressively.
yeah, humming aggressively.
Super effective.
You said it. Really.
Yeah,
It was super effective.
It was.
and that art was by Lydriel, by the way. So thank you, Lydriel.
So incredible.
All right, no pressure.
All right.
All the
last one.
pressure.
Zen.
Well, I
one's on
didn't do
you.
well in the season 2 roundtable because I can never remember the dang titles. But okay,
It's because you don't listen to mids.
I
After
make
you're
mids.
done listening to
yeah.
mids to make mids.
Yeah, I just don't go back and memorize the numbers of them the way some of us do.
I believe in you.
Here we go. Okay,
This one, I think you'll get this one. Okay.
Phone a friend?
I'll phone you. Maybe you'll remember what it's called.
Bam.
Oh, thank God. I think I've got it. That's what I thought last time, though, and I screwed it up. We have someone falling or parachuting a large crystalline object, a city, and what appears to be some kind of mollusk or oyster. Can I get the number of it right? Can I get the number? I don't know if I can get the.
Now for a brief break.
It's gonna take me a while. This might. The episode is Watch Me Fail.
You got it. You got it.
Trust fall.
Yes,
But
that is
I-
correct.
The number is
the number.
16.
16? That is correct. Yes.
Oh, praise
And
the Lord,
this
I can rest
is-
easy now.
This episode was
My
so
heart's
fun.
pounding.
And we had a million pieces of art for
This
this
has
one.
a ton of art, art by Julie Dillon, and also want to shout out Natasha Padron, who did the like nature show puppet little inserts about the. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the episode was too powerful for one artist alone. We had to
Yeah.
pull on
Yes.
more than one.
Matt's Creature Corner for that episode is one of my favorite moments in the entire series of Midst.
It's
I know
so
it
fun.
sounds like Zen and I are like ready for the moment to be over and wanting to
Oh,
get
no.
back to the
No, no,
action.
no.
but-
We were
That
hungry
was-
for it.
Yeah, that was acting.
Yeah.
Oh, we were pretending that.
We were
yeah.
pretending to not want
Yes.
that to talk about mollusks forever.
They were mirror hawks. Is that what they were
Mirror
called?
hawks.
Mirror
Yes.
hawks.
Yeah.
Mirrorhawks were first mentioned in season 1, episode 1, and they didn't really come up again until episode 16 of season 3. So it was such a delight to be able to finally deliver on this weird offhanded thing that was mentioned and be like,
Deliver you did.
here's the whole thing.
Surprise, you thought we forgot about them. We didn't.
Nope. Retro-causal
Retro
importance.
causal. There you go.
Yes.
That was amazing. Also, just before we move on, I mean, there were so many incredible artists that work on Midst, so we just want to showcase a few of their other pieces. Frank Liu, Isabel Burke, and Leo Sherrill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just 3 of a multitude of amazing
so
artists.
many,
Yes.
Spar getting fired.
This the
There's no good, very bad days.
Oh, yeah.
Had a bad day.
I like to think of this as the depression triptych, where
Gosh.
we've all had
Poor
days like
Spar.
this. It seems like the world is just moving around you and you stay the same.
Maybe we've all been Spar once or twice.
The depression triptych. That is like so. Yeah, so
sorrow.
true. Well, we've been looking at a lot of beautiful artwork, but of course, we just have to take this moment to shout out all the animators. Oh wait, what's it with that one? Wait, go back.
There's more art.
Where's this more art?
Yeah.
Let's just keep it
Isabel
going.
Burke, who
yeah.
we've had the pleasure of having art from for every season, and we even had 2 illustrations this season, and this was episode 5, I want to say. Acculturation. This is where Weep, brand new tripotentiary of the trust, has all his gal friends
All
over for
the
brunch.
ladies.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
some
and
mimosas.
The pleasure throughout this season of seeing incredible art from so many wonderful artists coming and just depicting Weep looking more and more fabulous.
I am obsessed with tripotentiary Weep
Yes.
fashion and loved to see it interpreted through so many different lenses. We've got another piece by Leo Sherrill, another sort of mealtime scene, in fact, and this has got to be one of my favorite
Look at
Weep
Weep.
outfits.
Oh
It's
my
just
God, he's looking his best.
such
Wear that robe.
a power display, the exposed chest with the visible rib cage and everything, and everyone just looks so cool.
It's such a like Clue cover, like
Yes!
you just
Which of these
these
color-coded-
rascally scoundrels.
Which
is
of these are part of
responsible
the
for
breed?
what
They're all
happened.
guilty.
Yeah.
I want his coat. I
know.
I want to take repose in those garments.
He feels like he's like wearing his own little Catherine Delish robe. You know?
70 pounds of pearls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I come in with a random question?
By all
And I
means.
bet this has already been asked in the past roundtables, but Valor and Kinum, how did that evolve? That
I don't
concept.
think that has been asked.
I'm actually sporting
Yeah.
my Kinum today.
And very valorous, Marisha.
Yeah. We got the opportunity to explore a lot of what Valor fashion looked like, but Kinum in world isn't really a thing that people are proud of or want to display. So I had to take the opportunity in the real world because I think it's cool.
Yes.
But your question about how it originated, I think, Matt, you should take this one away.
Sure, I can try. I mean, we obviously all were involved in the construction of the trust and figuring out what its sort of constituent pieces were, but
But
I
with
think
Phineas as your character and
Yes.
Phineas being so shaped by and coming from the trust, you kind of evolved that in step with him.
yeah, it was very much based, I think, on like sort of the notion of like a credit score and like there being sort of this arbitrary number that has been sort of decided for you as a value. But obviously this is a fantasy story, so we would want to see, you know, what are the impacts of that? How does a society sort of operate, you know, with this number being a like very out and public piece of information that you wear on your, you know, your shirt sleeve basically to sort of indicate or flag to those in your society like, oh yes, I'm doing quite well for myself, or not so well.
Status is very important.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And-
Imagine wearing something that sort of demonstrates that you're like
Again, a fantasy concept that we
Right.
came up with. But
Good thing
also
that's fictional.
it doesn't just pull on the like financial and credit score aspects, but like the form of the beads kind of brings to mind like rosaries or prayer beads and brings in the other elements of the trust that pulled from religion
Yeah.
and it's just a big horrible
a
mess.
sort of morality cult in there.
It's not just how high's my number, because then you would just have Valor, but you also have Kinum to mark
Debt.
your
More. I
essentially
love, it's
your
like
naughty
moral
points.
debt.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
yeah, one can't hold both at the same time, so you would never have like both colored beads on an abacus, but your valor would be reduced if you do something kinemus.
Yeah, but specifically about the origins of the term, Kinum itself, Matt.
Yeah, we sort of compiled these out of some like Latinate terms. I think Kinum was sort of like literally those roots come from the sort of words for like filth or scum. Like it's a very sort of dirty debt type term.
Yeah, but they're not
and
completely invented terms. They're pulled from original Latin roots.
Mm-hmm.
Is
used a lot
kind
of
of is
Latin.
kind
we
of
used a lot
actually
of Latin. Yeah.
yeah, consector, if I'm
Yep,
not
yep,
mistaken.
yeah,
is actually a Latin term.
Yeah, originally I think when we were sort of having the ideas for what like Phineas and Spar would be a part of, I think we were calling them like merit hunters or something
Yeah,
like that
for a
originally.
while the
Back in
valor
the old
system was
days.
what we were calling it merit,
Yeah.
and then we
I took
just
Latin
wanted
for
to
3
come
years.
up
I
with.
caught it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for
Fudged
looking
my
out.
way through it, but I certainly recognize it when I hear it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep,
you
yep,
know,
yep.
being a dead language and all that. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the term valor just sort of emerged as a like a thing to be sort of aspired to. It's a good quality. It's a, you know, heroic way of being, and the more valor that you put into the world, the better the world will be. So
It also kind of has a connotation of celebrity and showmanship. It's not worth anything unless other people know about it.
right.
Sure.
The status is very public, but then I also there's almost like a scarlet letter quality to having a bunch of Kinum on you, because you're having to carry around your shame.
Yeah, you're carrying your
By their
burden of debt
standards.
upon your very person.
Yeah. And therefore having to interact with it, reflect on it, be,
Yeah, it follows you wherever you go.
I still also think
Good
back,
thing that's fictional.
because I feel like one of my favorite appendices was the like kind of 17 magazine-esque with the little blurb that's like, how to wear your valor. And I think about that all the time.
I mean, you seem to have incorporated that
You've
advice.
done
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're looking great.
You know. Yes, and it's incredible. The fashion was amazing, and of course, shouting out all the artists, but also have to give a little quick shout out to some of our Critical Role editors. Of course, Max Shapiro.
We cannot
who-
sing Max Shapiro's
Champion.
praises
A
loudly
wizard.
enough.
Yes, I mean you're talking. He managed thousands of layers in After Effects and just hundreds of hours of export time.
And so accommodating
Yeah.
for if we would have ideas where I would be reluctant to even suggest them because I knew that one silly idea on my end meant hours of rendering on his. But could you do this?
He's so good, and I loved. I mean, he's like grown and learned so much.
Yeah.
If he didn't know how to do something, he would go learn. So he was incredible. And then, of course, our other animators: Christian Brown, Ben Pedley, and Jose Martinez. And then, of course, have to give a huge shout out and a thank you to Bryn Hubbard and Tal Levitas, who are our post-production people here at Critical Role, who really kind of like touch everything that goes on the channel and make sure that everything is done and that the trains are running on time. So yeah.
Supreme honor and gobsmacking privilege to be working with such elite pros, coming from a podcasting background where literally it was just three of us doing literally everything.
Yeah.
To now be interconnecting mids
Team.
with elite people who can make just magic happen is mind-blowing for us, and a privilege, and just we love you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
The
amazing. It's
team is the best.
quite a labor of love. Everyone is just, everyone in this studio, legitimately, I know we tell third person this, and we tell you all this every time you're here, but everyone loves you guys and love working with you. So yeah, it's been quite a dream little partnership.
You. That's my new catchphrase.
It's going really well, I think.
It's so getting a lot of mileage on it. But earnestly, though, this has been such a treat and a pleasure, and like to see the light animation touches to these pieces of art is
Not
just
always
like,
so light.
not
Yeah.
at all.
Monumentally
animated.
complex and intricate in many cases.
But it breathes such life into the story in a way that the audio does a different approach to, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of improvements over the years, I feel like you all, and I hope this doesn't come across as patronizing in any way, you all have improved so much as actors and performers as well. And especially like it hits even harder this season, and you have so many like intense emotional conversations, specifically those ending couple or kind of towards the end episodes between Spar and Phineas, and then Saskia and Weep. So when you're doing those deep emotional conversations, kind of talk to us about that. What was that? What was that like?
Well, I think we needed the practice of seasons 1 and 2 to be able to do that. I mean, we used to be shy enough around doing kind of dramatic acting around each other that we would sometimes have to wear sunglasses while recording just so we didn't have to look at each other.
We literally
Eye contact.
Yeah,
and
we
not
had-
intimidate each other, but like.
we struggled in season 1. We were just getting intimidated by each other staring just like watching each other act.
Something.
Yeah.
I think I joked like, why don't we just freaking wear some sunglasses so we can't watch each other watching
And we
ourselves?
tried it.
And it
actually
worked.
helped.
And it was extremely effective.
But
Wow.
we've grown beyond that and are
Yes.
now comfortable with the whole process enough to do stuff like that.
I mean, it's very vulnerable, you know.
Yeah.
Acting is a very vulnerable experience.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not getting too actor woo-woo here,
all.
but yeah, it's, you know,
Acting.
acting, yes.
Acting.
is acting.
What is acting? Well, glad, thank you.
If you know, you know.
Well, speaking of acting, I, in particular, you ready for this? You know what I'm about to do.
Oh, okay.
It's time, my friend. It's time.
Soliloquy.
My favorite performance, the most stunning performance in all of Mids, in my opinion, is Matt's scene as Phineas towards the end. A one-take masterpiece. Done on the fly with immaculate perfection and soul and feeling. Sara and I stood by as Matt performed his piece.
You were there too.
You were being spar at me.
But nonetheless, we had to.
That was an important part.
Yeah.
We couldn't continue recording because Sara and I were just wide-eyed crying at Matt's immediate just release of Phineas's
There was no
true.
warm-up. I wasn't sure how it was gonna go because we hadn't really gone there with Phineas yet, and I was expecting it might take a few takes, but no, first one perfect,
Instantaneous.
lightning in a bottle.
It was. It was incredible.
Yeah.
We were in a basement at the time, which
were.
made it easier to be vulnerable because you're not, at risk of a breeze or something. So
Yeah.
Hate when a breeze
comes. It was, I have to give credit where credit is due, though. That entire sequence was a scripted piece that Sara used her extreme, excellent, romance. May I use the word disease?
I call it a romance disease.
To craft and it just
Are you a
Yeah.
little romance novel junkie?
Well, I do love a romance novel, but I specifically call it my romance disease when we're working on our own stuff because there's always a part of my brain that's like, well, how could this scene? What if they kissed? And there's not a whole lot of romance in Midst, and the romance that there is extremely
Toxic.
complex
complicated,
or fucked up
multi-layered,
or just not one of your straightforward,
Not tidy.
satisfying templates in a romance story. So, you gotta take your chances where they arise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Big fan of fucked up.
Yeah.
So are we.
Mess. Yeah.
Messy, complicated things. Weep in Saskia's scene would be another example of that.
Yeah. It was intense. Your weep acting there.
Yeah, it was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do as a voice actor. Weep's voice is pretty complicated, and it turns out that it actually, to my surprise and dismay, didn't really translate very well to breaking down emotionally. It got very hard for me to perform that level of emotion and also be verbally intelligible because he's already very screwed up and lots of mumbling, and he was already really sick and deteriorating, and we were really struggling to hit the right level of truth and emotion but also have the audience be able to understand what the fuck he was saying.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that was a complex recording process. I had to go, to your question earlier, retake an hour of material just to find the right level of truth in him, but also have his spoken word be comprehensible to the listener.
Yeah.
But it was dramatic. Again, written primarily, largely scripted by romance disease. And I don't know. I feel we have a capability in performing. I think I'll use the word intimate scenes together. We are. You ready? We are married.
We are married.
And
by the way.
surprise! And a level of
I'm just a
comfort.
friend.
Our best friend. And that, being able to, live together as we do and perform scenes and retake things together as needed, since we live together, allows us to build scenes like that.
But it was also really hard for that reason because
because it hurts.
Yeah, and our apartment is not large, and Zen had to go isolate themselves in the closet, which is like the best,
Tiniest,
the only
but
really
quietest.
isolated room we have, to take that incredibly emotionally racking scene while I just
Yep, yep.
put on the gaming headphones and
See you later.
blasted noise as large as possible
emotionally melt down in the
because
closet
it was
for an
so
hour.
distressing to hear in the background that I couldn't.
Going to Narnia.
Yep. Yep. Just go lock myself in the closet and cry for an hour.
I've been sitting up on a follow-up thought to this, and you guys just sort of
Yeah.
wandered into it, which is that there's just no mistaking the intimacy and trust that you guys, and comfortability and chemistry that you guys have together, which is another ingredient in the magic of the show, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and you know, the illustrious Sam Riegel and I have talked about this a lot of like what drew him and I to your all's podcast in the beginning. You know, when we first kind of discovered that Midst even exists, was like, oh, they remind us of Critical Role, and the fact that like you were all just friends and started this off as friends, wanting to just tell a story and make each other laugh. And so there was definitely a lot of that kind of like familiarity and, you know, creative kinship that we immediately latched onto, knowing that was kind of, you know, the origins are not lost on us on the similarities of it.
Yeah, we all three of us met together in college, 15 or more years ago.
Yes, it's been 83 years.
And all became friends with each other and bonded over mutual interest in storytelling and writing and performing. And we were doing weird radio theater side projects, just bizarro MP3s that ended up nowhere, but were fun to make. And we didn't start out doing, you know, audio drama podcasting. We mostly got together as buddies through playing games, like tabletop games, and just bonding over creative projects. And yeah, it was not so very much unlike yourselves, I guess, just friends telling weird stories together, and who could have guessed where those pathways would lead.
Following open doors, you know, that's all you gotta do sometimes. Speaking of you all playing tabletop RPGs together, something that we learned about this trip of you guys being out here in LA was that Sara, you're kind of the dungeon master of the group. You're the one who runs D&D games.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I do just in my personal life. I don't run D&D for Zen and Matt, but I do run D&D for a very precious group of friends. We call ourselves the Break Stuff Club.
The Break Stuff Club.
Yeah. And if you're watching, I love you. Yeah, it's fun. I like to do you know, the pre-published campaigns. Just it's easy, it's fun. It takes care of the hard work for me, and I can focus on the things I like doing, which is mostly like bringing in romance or like people's moms at inopportune moments, and don't have to worry about like the big bad and their motivations.
Romance, disease, and mom walking in together.
So there.
It can
those
happen.
separate.
It has happened.
Your campaign.
Okay, so kind of a fun question. You're stranded on an islet. You personally, each and every one of you.
Now,
What is the one item that you bring?
Wait, us or our characters? Because I would just lie down and die. I'm not outdoorsy.
I'm gonna say you as people because I think that's more fun. We know what the characters bring.
Yeah,
we
we
see
would
that.
bring an airtight contract of business.
Yeah.
Lark would bring a pocket knife.
Yeah.
Phineas would be still wearing his abacus, probably.
His final bead.
Stewing on that the whole time.
I don't know, me, I'd just bring a book. I don't know.
Bring a book. Why try to survive?
Yeah, I would just not survive in the midst cosmos.
Just a little bit of escapism before you go down.
Exactly, just enjoyment.
I would bring a can of compressed air and just blast myself back.
Yeah.
Missionary Hill. Slowly.
Escape.
I'd been very old by the time I got there. But
Yeah.
I think, well, I would choose to receive a Bach, I believe, which is the sort of like technological widget
everyone
of
knows
the
what a
midst.
Bach
Well,
is. You don't need to explain.
right. But anyway, I could learn a lot about it, and I feel like they are extremely multi-purpose. And whenever you need to do something, there you are.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. If I found myself on an island and knew I would never escape,
I lit.
I lit.
Do you even listen to Midst?
Apparently
The
not.
establishes that they
Depending on who
don't.
you ask. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Perhaps I would hope to find in my possession some kind of strange musical instrument from the cosmos of Midst.
Sure.
Ideally, something I have never seen and I never imagined, and I could just lie there on the ground, staring into the abyss, noodling with whatever it is, trying to figure out what in the heck how it works.
Okay, so only Matt is
Teach yourself
surviving.
at 20.
And I would be dead soon, but at least I would be musically fulfilled.
At least you are thinking practically.
It's
not a contest.
Just tranquil repose with the alien instruments until I meet my demise.
That was their implication.
So you could learn your 23rd instrument? Is that low? I'm sorry, is that low?
I don't know how many.
Depends what you count as an instrument.
Anything can be an instrument.
24.
24. 25. No.
You have used some pretty weird things to make music.
There are a
for
lot of
Midst,
weird
though.
things
Yeah.
in Midst that are not conventional music instruments.
Cats.
Cats.
Elevators.
Yeah.
A what?
Elevators.
Elevators have been. This, I know, perhaps we're short on time, but can I just tell you an incredible fun fact about season 3? There is a certain. We are to presume that the listener has listened to all of season 3. This is turbo spoilers, so watch out. Plug your ears. Mock Weep's death scream is. Sorry! You had your ears covered! We just spoiled Liam O'Brien. We saw it coming. His
spoil
death
me.
scream
happen.
is a
Don't spoil me,
malfunctioning elevator in Burbank, California.
A malfunctioning elevator
Yep.
in Burbank, California.
Yes.
Explain?
The door was screwed up. You press the call button and the door goes. As it opens, and I ran and got my microphone.
Did you really?
Open and shut the door like.
This kind of thing happens all the time.
Yeah. So that's not. So anything can be music.
Wow.
I thought it was a very musical death scream. Case in point. So thank you.
There was a
That's
hailstorm that turned into the
Yeah.
Mirror Hawk attack.
One
There
time we were at
Wow.
Matt's house and we had the bathtub filled. It was for our April Folds Day episode of Midst Messages, available to Fold subscribers. And the bathtub was draining and started making a crazy noise. And Matt was like, Zen, get in here, bring the recorder.
Yes. So yeah, music is everywhere. What can we say? Is it sound? Is it music? Can they both be the same?
incredible.
Maybe retrocausally they can.
Oh my God, you
Yes,
said it, Matt.
right.
Yes.
Well, speaking of all of the incredible bonus content that if you are a subscriber to Midst.co, you get access to all of it. This is the best viewing experience for Midst, or listening experience, of course. But speaking of the ones where you use your eyes, the appendices, which always great, always really like flesh out the world, the cosmos of Midst. What were some of your favorite ones this season?
There were some good
Do
ones.
you want to go first?
Okay. My favorite appendix is Weep's shopping receipt from a vendor called Hi Mall.
Hi, Mom.
Hi Mall, based on something I may have seen somewhere once upon a time. And to me, this was just so funny to work on, to brainstorm items that he might have
would
purchased.
buy.
Yes.
And
Impulse purchase.
to me, it is a portrait of a man spiraling and coming into more money than he's ever had before in his life, and trying to fill the void in his heart with whatever.
Just buy things.
And the void in his home.
Yes.
Needs to put stuff in
A
there.
mansion.
Got a new
You
mansion.
know, that's a lot of room.
There's so many great things that he is
incredible.
now the proud new owner of.
Hi Mall, also a good name for a dispensary.
It is.
Oh, yes.
It honestly, it probably exists.
somewhere
Yeah.
You seek it, we stock it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Yes, there are some delicious ones there. For me, my favorite is the canned Mirror Hawk advertisement from episode 16, Trustfall. It's just as a Midwesterner, there are a great preponderance of canned, often salads, that are served
quotation marks.
at, family gatherings and things, made out of canned meats, jellos, things of that nature.
There we go. Look at that.
And it was such a treat to go back and look at, things like Jello, tuna, advertisements, in old magazines, and put something together that was, evocative of mirror hawks and helped explain, how they are approached by the every person in the midst cosmos.
Yeah, and those recipes are like horrifyingly close to reality.
Yes, yeah.
Nutrient dense.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And
Flesh sourced fresh.
so often the graphical components for appendices are adapted and mashed together and collaged elements from just like old weird public domain images, and there are images of foods from the past that haunt me, and I just made them a little worse. Changed some colors around. But it's not that far off from reality.
I mean, especially anything when like wartime rations were happening. It gets weird.
Have you heard of what is that salad
Oh,
called?
perfection salad.
Perfection salad.
It's just a tower of transparent
Google
jello
with
full of
caution.
lettuce. Yeah, watch out. If you know, you know.
Perfection salad.
Perfection salad. It's nightmarish. It's incredible. We just love nightmarish, bad, weird garbage. And like the Bocular catalog appendix is just a nightmare of typography gone wrong. Just totally screwed up kerning, weird line breaks. It's just graphic design fun.
Some graphic design humor.
Just a little kerning. Kemming is kerning, but kerned wrong.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. To use the line again. Yeah, I don't know. Things laid out bad, graphic design gone wrong, things translated poorly. Who knows? We love that stuff. I love the
And
Bocular
a little
things.
romance with that napkin stuck in there. That's true. Why did she keep that?
Yes. Oh, splendid.
Amazing. Well, we have a few other questions from the community, from the Midsties that are floating out there. So I wanted to start, let's do this first one. This is from Tumblr. The gang, protagonists and or side characters, go to a karaoke bar. Who sings what and with how much effort? We'll do one favy character for each of you.
We probably sings is from Aladdin, a friend like me.
Nice.
He just grumbles his way. He's sort of Shatnerian style, like sing talks it.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like of the three protagonists, Weep is the only one who might like voluntarily
Like
embark on
Enjoy karaoke.
Yeah, Phineas could be peer pressured into it fairly easily.
Probably.
And I just can't imagine what world-ending circumstances would end up with Lark doing that. I can't even think as far as a song, to be honest. She would just be looking for any out.
Yeah.
Like, does it involve taking down everyone in the karaoke bar? Maybe.
Just to make it stop.
She simply would not. Sorry if that's a cop-out.
Yeah, I feel like whatever Phineas would start doing, maybe it's just like happy birthday or something. He would probably leave like halfway through from stage fright, maybe? I don't know.
I
Sort
like
of
to
a-
imagine that he would start to enjoy it. He needs to do some kind of art.
That's
Perhaps
true. I
Spar
think
would
that
be
would
there
be
to
best.
encourage and support him.
Or a duet.
Romance disease.
Romance
That's the matter for another
disease.
story.
It's extremely advanced.
Mr. Weep, it's pronounced Kinum. Really? I say Kinum.
Is that your Shatnering?
You got the wrong pronunciation.
Let's jump into another one. This is from the Midst AMA. Did any of you learn anything new about the characters you played, protagonists or otherwise, while recording this absolutely phenomenal third season?
Boy, oh boy, did we ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess one thing that kind of surprised me about Lark in the club episode in Bedrock was, and it wasn't necessarily planned this way, but I feel like her response to the positive attention she was receiving from the Breach Rebels was kind of more receptive than I expected. She's generally a very gruff, isolated person who doesn't enjoy attention and doesn't enjoy the spotlight, but she was kind of...
Feeling her oats a little bit.
Yeah, she wasn't like entirely negatively reacting to that. So that was a little surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think when we started to kind of nail down what like Hieronymus's deal was, I think we knew lightly early on that he was sort of, involved in the breach in some kind of way. But through sort of the sequence of scenes that we got with him, the various combinations of him and other characters, the conversation between him and Saskia, especially inside of the Bacular Horse, which everyone knows what they look like,
They're box-shaped.
exactly.
Yeah.
You got it. It was such it added a lot of layers and nuance to the way Hieronymus is.
Again,
and,
incredible performance from Zen there.
like, I don't know, it's some of the wrinkles and reasons for why he was involved with the breach and the things that were important to him came out in ways that were, I think, very surprising for me. I thought he might be a little bit more one note than he was, but he was not.
2 notes at least.
At least. Minimum.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Everything is music.
I've learned a lot about Mock Weep. He started out the podcast as just kind of a cool nightclub guy and gradually evolved into one of the most convoluted, labyrinthine characters that I think I've ever come up with for anything that I've worked on. There are depths to him that blew me out the door. I was not expecting him to be the way that he is. And to find truths in him and real things deep inside of him as he slowly, very tortuously throughout the course of the series, gradually reveals himself and what is within him.
Literally sometimes.
Literally.
Yeah.
And figuratively. Things that the podcast gives away and things that may, I'm not sure I'm at liberty to fully disclose. He's a complicated guy who comes from a very interesting place, filling him with convoluted things that surprise me with their realism and their depth and their sincerity. There are aspects to him that are far truer to me in my own experience that I ever imagined or thought would become the case. And seeing him become a mirror to certain challenges that I've experienced, seeing weird commonalities and some of his fears are my fears, and him becoming kind of a lens to some of my own experience and some of my own journeys was very much out of left field and unexpected, but very true for him. He's an interesting guy. I'm glad to have him in my life, and I'm thankful to him for what he has revealed to me through the lens of his experience.
Thanks, Mockweep.
I'm glad he goes on to live a long and happy life.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Just keep telling us.
That was a red herring misdirection from you. Don't worry about what we said earlier.
I think we'll take one more from the AMA. This is a good one, and one that I think is very relevant to future things. How did you develop and hone your 3-way narration style, maintaining fluidity and trading off from one person to another?
Well, frankly, it was doing Midst that let us
Oh yeah, that
do
was
that.
it.
Yeah,
That was
like,
part of
I mean, truly though, I think we, at the outset, we did not really know what kind of podcast we wanted to craft. In fact, the idea of a podcast was really new to us, and just sort of stumbling through it and deciding like, oh, well, we can do it kind of like the games that we played, but we'll just do it into a microphone and see how that goes. So
It really, a lot of it came from like DMing, like running a game.
Sure.
The kind of cadence that you have when you are trying to describe a scenario to people sitting there at the table with you, and then just imagine if there were 3 of us.
Yeah.
And they're playing with each other as much as they're playing with the players.
Yeah.
And then take away the players, and then add a bunch of sound effects and music.
Yeah, put some microphones.
and art.
Yeah,
And that light
yeah, and animation.
Light animation.
Yeah. I mean, I think the style really comes out of our prior experience just running and playing games together. When we all first got to know each other, we started out we did not play any D&D originally, for example, nor did we play any other kind of systematized game. We would just do these kind of freewheeling improvisational narrative games where we did not roll dice. We weren't using any pre-published materials. We just hung out and just sort of went nuts with a story. And someone usually created. It was kind of like the GM would create the game, but they were collaborative improv story games.
Yeah.
And that style kind of led us to a format that we had fun with and were comfortable with. And so when we started working on Midst, we looked at each other and thought, well, what if we just kind of did that but recorded it?
Yeah.
So it comes out of gaming.
And I feel like everyone does this as a kid.
Yeah.
You know, it just starts out as like, what kind of
Play
mermaid are
pretend.
you?
Yeah.
And then eventually turns into Midst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a direct
let's play
through
house.
line.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Midst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What powers does your hair have?
Well, yeah, like playing pretend is such a like foundational human experience. It's the way that we get to, share imaginary worlds together and, discover things about our blorbos that, surprise us when they're set loose in the sandbox, like you were talking about earlier, Marisha. Yeah, you learn a lot both about yourself through that act, but it's collective and it's shared, it's cooperative. And yeah, I don't know, it just sort of arose because of the way we did it, I guess. I don't know, chicken and the egg.
Yeah, did we actually answer the question? It's we
I think so.
yeah, we found a cadence that felt comfortable and eventually became our style.
Yeah.
I mean, it truly just emerged out of a realization that we started out trying to make Midst in a way that seemed to be the way other podcasts did things, because that's how you make a podcast.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work, and we didn't really like it. So we came with a radical concept, which was, what if we just did it kind of our way? We just sort of freewheeling bullshit and just kind of went. And then it turned out that worked. That was fun. That was how we told stories, and that's how we continue to tell stories. We just sort of go.
You don't need permission from anybody. You don't need to find an example of something to follow. You just do
Just
do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
As long as there's-
for any artist to move from painting by the numbers, doing it the right way, to just going outside the lines and doing it in the way that makes you
100%.
happy.
Cheers
and
to
it's
that.
scary. It's not easy to get past that mental block, but it's worth it.
Yeah. Cheers to finding your voice. Or three of them for that.
Huzzah. Once again.
Huzzah. Huzzah.
Hey, yeah. Long distance clink.
Nice.
Goal.
Well, speaking of thinking outside the box, being creative,
Yeah?
finding your own play style,
Yeah?
while this was the final season of Midst, this isn't the end. Of course not. I think we should tell folks what we have coming.
Is it
I
time?
think it is time.
Is it time?
You all, everyone at
I
home,
think it's time.
I am so happy to announce that we have just shot a 4-episode miniseries called Moonward. Maybe they can put it here or something. It's so good, I almost fell out of my seat. That's how I can.
Just how the game
That's how I went. It's true.
Don't put it in, just leave her hanging. Just leave her hanging.
It is set shortly after the events of the Midst podcast. Moonward features a cast of characters on an expedition to locate the sunken remains of Midst's destroyed moon. And the very exciting thing about it, I and Liam had the absolute privilege, nay, the honor, of joining third person for this completely improvised role-playing experience. These guys were kind enough to let us play in their world and experience your storytelling, je ne sais quoi. And we did it right here at this table. Zen, however, is sitting where I am sitting, running the game. But this is a little sneak peek at what we ended up doing.
There's fog.
There
And
is
lots
fog.
of it.
There's these
crystals.
microcrystals.
things.
Yeah, absolutely. It is so inventive. It's really outside of the box of anything that we've ever done here at Critical Role Productions. I think one of the coolest aspects about it is that Zen puts their musical prowess to work live in real time and does live musical accompaniment.
Scoring in the moment.
Yeah.
I would have a fucking blast at this table, but the music is and the sound is sorcery. I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
Thank you. I don't know how it happened either.
Yes.
It's incredible. I mean, Liam, yeah, do you have anything you want to add?
Wait a minute, my presence at the top of the show was foreshadowing. We're so fucking smart.
Retrocausality! You were here for
It
a
was
reason!
no accident that he was here.
No accident that you were diving in that dumpster.
I mean, I don't have anything elaborate to say. I've really had a really rewarding, fucking awesome time sitting at this table with you guys, and I do feel honored that I got to come play in your brain space, and we all walked away from the table at the end really attached to the story we told, and I think you guys will be too, and it's like nothing you've ever seen, on this rectangle you're looking at.
Yeah, certainly.
It's really cool.
Certainly nothing that we've done here at Critical Role, and I don't feel like it is a stretch for me to go as far to say really nothing that I have seen in the kind of a live Let's Play role-playing space. It is kind of done the way that the Midst Trio third person does it. There are no dice. There aren't rules. It is more of a live action role play type of experience.
Played the game of make-believe.
Yeah, and
Very much
we're
so.
To find out what kind of mermaids we played.
yes.
My hair's magical power is ice.
You can't do that actually because my hair's magical power is ice and it only belongs to my hair, so you're gonna have to pick something else. Also, I can talk to dolphins.
There are many magical powers in story. You are
Yes.
going to see storytelling that certainly blew me out the door.
Yeah. There
From
was
all at this table, just you wait.
it had everything. There was laughter. There are tears. There are
More tears.
weird synth funky music gadgets that never seen before until Zen brought them into this studio.
There are even penguins?
There are penguins. Or we're starting to say too much. I can't spoil penguins.
Don't give away the crux of the story.
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, it is truly incredible. I also feel very compelled to say that it is a standalone story. You do not need to be familiar with anything Midst prior. So tell your friends if you are a Midsty, they can jump in. It's very unique, and I think what we all did here at this table was a very compelling and creative, inspiring experience.
It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride.
Well, we are just as honored, to be in close quarters with you while you do your thing. It was amazing. Literal chills at multiple points, not only from what Zen was doing with running the game, but just from everyone's performances.
It's like, what if you got my role playing in a live jam session? Like, you got your peanut
Let's
butter and
do
my
it.
chocolate. You got my chill psychedelic guitar playing in my make believe. So yeah, it's.
Saying goes.
I could talk about it for forever, but honestly, you kind of can't describe it. You're just going to have to see it. So please tune in here, tune into Beacon, tune into Mits.co, and check it out for yourselves. Y'all, thank you so much to Matt, Sara, and Zen, and of course, Liam.
And
Marisha.
And I am Marisha. Thank you for joining us tonight on our Season 3 Midst Roundtable. Let's go out with the trailer for Moonward.
What?
Thank you all. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
you see what waits for you? Will you flee?